Hi, my name is Letitia Peters, and I'm going to be doing my poster presentation on my BSN capstone project. So let's get started. This is a great overview of the little bits and pieces, well, actually large bits and pieces that it takes to put together this capstone project as a whole. So this is a great visual for the project as a whole. So I want to give you a little bit of a background and why I chose the topic that I did. So I chose to do my project on chlamydia. And what I want to let you know is before, when I was a new nurse, I've been a nurse around 30 years, almost 30 years. And before, it seemed like patients were more prone to take their sexual health very responsibly and to limit the number of partners they have and to basically practice barrier methods or condom use and just really took it more serious. So the other thing I noticed is testing. The providers haven't kept the importance of testing for STIs. They haven't kept the importance of education regarding STIs and chlamydia in their practice. It just seems like the importance of it is just not anymore. So I focused my research question on this. So my PICO question was, in adolescents and young adults with a focus on ages 14 to 30 years of age, is the chlamydia rate for those patients with healthcare providers who make testing and education a priority lower than those patients with healthcare providers who do not make it a priority? Well, I want to go ahead and go over the aims of my study and also the methods and design of the study. So let's look at this. It's about chlamydia. There's a little chlamydia bacteria there. But I basically wanted to understand what has caused the increase in the rate of chlamydia. And I also wanted to come up with some interventions and make a change in our practice. So this is it's an important subject, as in the CDC in 2021 notes a rate of 1.8 million infections of chlamydia in 2019, which is an increase of 19% since 2015. This is huge. So I really wanted to help make a difference. So let's look at my design. So I did some quantitative research and also some qualitative research. Quantitative is using numbers and that type of thing, and qualitative is more like actions of a design, of a research, or using words, using the research to look at reactions to certain studies. So it was a mixed method there. Plus, in my design, I did some primary research in which I collected my own numbers and did a study in my own practice with my colleagues. And then also I read secondary research in which other people did do the studies and the research and came up with their conclusions. So it was kind of a mixed design there. So what Laura et al.'s 2016 noted, providers that were educated and reminded of the impact of chlamydia would test more. So I was keeping this in mind for my interventions. So, like I said, I wanted to make a change in my local practice, in our local office, in the place I worked, and also make a difference in our local community. So, with that it was noted that so locally we could make a difference, and in our community we could make a difference, as Woods et al. 2021 noted a study in which people that were reminded of the impact of chlamydia and they were trained regarding the impact of chlamydia were 11.6% apt to do testing. So we had an increase of 11.6%. The interesting thing is that we wanted to go ahead and make a poster or a handout for our providers and our patients to remind them and to let them know the impact of STIs and chlamydia in our community. It's interesting. So one of the top universities or organizations, I would say organizations that people turn to is Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins in 2021 notes that chlamydia this is their handout, is spread from a form of sexual or different forms of sexual contact, and that people should be tested yearly or more often if their provider wants. And the interesting thing is there was no statistics there to kind of wake people up. And the thing is that really, I wish they would have made more importance on testing with every new partner, or testing when you're pregnant, new pregnancy, or just testing. Yes, yearly is important, just in case, even if you're in a monogamous relationship, you don't necessarily know if things have changed in that relationship, and maybe testing does need to occur. And the thing is that WebMD 2019, they note that, they do know a statistic, but they note that barrier use is a really good idea, but they focus on HIV. So I feel like half the time patients think, oh, that's a major illness, a major disease, a major infection. This doesn't apply to me. So, that doesn't do a lot of good when we're talking about all STIs. So what we want to do is not only do the poster and handout, we got together in a group to look at our guidelines as a practice and increase nurse visits so that nurses can take the lead in educating patients and testing patients for chlamydia. So again, we should look at this. So this is very, very scary because as far as the cases of chlamydia per 100,000 per capita, so Statistica notes that in 1985, the cases of chlamydia were 17.4 cases per 100,000 per capita. And then in 2019, we increased to 552.8 cases per 100,000 people per capita. That is a very huge increase. So what do we want to do? Again, it is very important to educate. It is very important to increase our testing. It is so important to do improvements in our practice. We're going to do education with poster / handout. We're going to improve practice guidelines to give our nurses autonomy, to help just improve these numbers. So let's see. My expected results for this study are that with increased education for providers regarding chlamydia, this will improve testing for chlamydia because our patients will note that there are patients. They'll be reminded that our patients need tested. And the second thing is, I expect that with increased education for our patients, we may reduce cases of chlamydia, as people may be educated and reminded that safe sex practices are important and the limiting of sexual partners is important. So what am I noting? So we want to do this. With chlamydia, we're going to remind people, we're going to educate people, we're going to increase our testing, and we are going to lower our numbers. So again, with the increased cases of chlamydia, we are going to re-educate, We are going to give nurses more autonomy so that we can test, that we can educate, and we are going to educate our patients. We know that knowledge is power, so with our patients, it is super important that we are going to educate them, and with all of this, we're going to increase our success. So, my conclusions and implications for my project, basically, we never stop learning. Yes, we know this information, but we don't always keep ourselves apprised of the latest research. We are going to increase our testing in my local practice as a group. We are going to share, make a difference, share those best practices with our community and our other health care providers around us. And we really want to, with the sharing of best practices, the sharing of our information, the sharing of our successes, we would love to make an impact with our community, and then maybe statewide with sharing of best practices, and maybe nationwide with sharing of best practices, and then hopefully go globally. So I just really want you to know that even if we think there's nothing we can do as a nurse, we can do these projects. We can get our co-workers and everyone we work with excited about making change, about doing quality improvement, about just not taking the status quo. We can make a difference. I want to thank you so much for listening to my presentation. And here are my references, and you have a great day.